All right. So my name is James. I work on the learning and content team for hotels at Triple C. And today we're going to review your content template options and best practices. So throughout the webinar, you can submit questions and comments through the question and answer tab, but I'll be stopping periodically for questions, and we should have time in the end as well. So content templates. Content templates allow you to insert saved information, including text, links, merge fields, images, all into the different text fields throughout your documents. So today we're going to focus on adding and editing content templates, organizing your content template folders, using content template for terms and conditions. That'll probably be the brunt and where you use templates the most, and using content templates for all document text fields. All right, so let's get an app here. All right, so let's get started. So first, I'd like to jump into a booking to review your options of using where the options will be to use templates. And this will help give a better understanding when we get into the creating and editing. All right, so let's go into our Sprigwell company training. So as you're creating documents or editing documents from that Master Docs tab, you're always going to land on the template. And just as a reminder, your booking document template, that's where all the information lives. That's where you're adding in your terms and conditions, selecting from templates for those text fields, and detailing out your events. And all that information is predetermined of where it's going to land. Some will show in your contract, some will show in your BEO or both. Certain things will only show on internal documents. So as we get into your docs, we're always going to land on that booking tab. And as we scroll down, some of the first couple sections are text fields. So this is the proposal intro and the contract intro. So once you save these documents, that introduction is going to show at the top of the proposal. And then this one down here will show at the top of your contract. So a lot of you will have these baked in, but this is just a quick example of where you can use your content templates. So this is pretty standard. Dear Jane, thank you for considering. And then the merge fields pop in that specific info and so on. And then for the top of the contract, it's basically stating it's an agreement between your location and the group with some dates there. So you may have different types of introductions that you want to communicate to the guests based on what type of booking it is. So this is going to be one of those places where you can use a template dropdown. If you feel like you have different proposal intros or contract intros, this would be a great example of being able to, so you can see I have some contract intros in here, just a basic one. So anywhere you see this toolbar is going to be a text field. Now, as we scroll down a little further, and a lot of you should be used to where your booking terms are. Now, again, some of you may have the terms already baked in because they're always the same. Or you'll have a blank field because you do so many different types of events and maybe have different types of terms that go along with guest rooms. From the template dropdown, that's where you're going to be able to select the appropriate terms that apply to that booking. So from the booking tab, this is mostly going to go into the contract. Now, as you go into your different events and you're scrolling down, detailing, you've got your pick list sections. And again, we see text fields. So those text fields can have verbiage already baked in. You can type as you go. Again, these are going to be sections that you're able to use your template drop-down menu and select from maybe a few different selections based on how you operate, based how your location has its workflow. For internal BEO notes, those could involve things about food allergies, setup, breakdown. So those are some basic examples of where you're going to select those content templates. Let's get back to our dashboard. All right, so let's navigate to the settings and the content template section to review our options. So from that left-hand toolbar, I scroll all the way down to settings. And now I'm going to go down to our documents and menu section and go into content templates. Now, if you go in on your own and you don't see this in settings, it may be an access thing. So your customer admin or whoever runs your site, they may need to do this for you or give you the appropriate access. But to get there again, I went to settings from the bottom left, and now I'm clicking on content templates. So one of the first things to note is you have the option for different locations. Some of you may have multiple or just one. You want to make sure that you are on the location tab that you're editing those conditions for, because if you do have multiple locations, those could be very different between the two. Or some people just use the same. Now, organizing your folders is important as well. Again, depending on how your location operates, how your workflow is really going to depend on how you set up your folders of your different templates. For our terms and conditions, we created a template folder called terms and conditions. And as I edit that folder, it opens up and you see I have 4 different sets of terms in here: corporate event, corporate room block, social event, and social room block. Now you may end up wanting to set that hierarchy differently. Maybe you have a folder that's just room block terms and then has those different sets of room block terms within it. Or maybe you have a folder that's just event terms and it has the different versions. Whatever makes the most sense to you, but you want to make sure you keep things organized so you can access them quickly. And when it's time to edit them, you can access them quickly and know where you're going. So let's go into our terms and conditions folder. So we created the folder. Once you create, you have that option to select how many different locations it applies to. So if it is the same throughout, you'll want to check off those multiple locations. Make sure the name is something that makes sense, and you click apply only to booking documents. These are going to be set up for you ahead of time, and you don't want to mess with them too much if you don't know what you're doing. You can always create a new one if you want to just sort of play around, and I'm going to show you how to do that shortly. But right now, let's say I wanted to add another set of terms, maybe weddings. I'm just going to copy this set and then bounce back out of here. And if you are adding in terms and conditions, if you have them in Word format or any other type of format, you want to run them through a text editor first. A lot of you have a text editor built into your computer. You can find them online, free ones, but it's going to remove any script or funky spacing that comes out once it's viewed by the guest. And if you've ever, piecemealed an email together, it looks beautiful. And then when they respond back, it's all chopped up and strange looking. That's usually because it was copy and pasted and it carried over script. So if you're making a whole new set of terms, make sure you run it through a text editor first. So I want to add a set of terms and conditions for weddings now. So I'm in my terms and conditions folder. I click add a content template to this folder. We'll give it a name. And I'm just going to paste in those same terms that I had copied. Now you've got all the basic editing tools up here. If you want to bold, highlight, add in links, I'm just going to go ahead and save this one for now. And now I've got my weddings terms and conditions in there. Another example would be setup notes. So as you're detailing out your events, there's a section for setup, which you can add in on the fly any information specific to that booking. But if you ever find that you're using those same setup notes all the time, or maybe a couple different versions of them, it'll be very helpful and time saving to have a folder of those setup notes. So within this folder, I've got a wedding cocktail hour, and that's just some basic bullets of things to remember. And this could be elaborated on. You can have graphics in here, photos, by using their insert image here. We can insert links if maybe you had a landing page or a vanity page that you would want the guest to be able to click on and see. So let's add another template here, another setup. So we'll do a classroom setup. Whatever type of details make sense. Then we save. Now that's going to be an option in any of your text fields to be able to quickly add in that template, and then you can add on and elaborate further if needed. Now come time to edit any of your terms and conditions, and that could happen maybe certain taxes or change, or you have a brand new policy. You've done some renovations and there's just different terms and conditions that need to be added. So when you change your content templates, that's only going to change for new bookings created and then adding it in after you've made these changes here. It's not going to change any past bookings and events. So for example, maybe in our corporate terms, the parking situation has changed. So we can come in here and edit that. Or we need to add a whole new section. We can just click wherever we need to click, make some space. I can go ahead and just start typing. Or again, if I have it in a document somewhere else, I can copy and paste it in, but always running through a text editor first to remove any of those back-end scripts that we don't see off the bat. And if you're ever messing around and you feel like, well, I'm not sure if I want to make those changes, you can always just cancel out. Now, another editing capability is adding in merge fields. Now, there may be some areas where you just have to add in specific information. It's not going to auto-populate. But if you find in your terms and conditions that you're adding in account name all the time, or maybe certain dates, the beginning of booking, end of booking, certain financials, there may be a merge field for that. And Triple Seat merge fields auto-populate specific information about that booking or location or that contact, and we'll put it into those terms specific to that booking. So wherever you may want to add in those merge fields, you place your cursor and you right click, and this is going to pull up all your options. Event fields will not work in your booking documents because they are specific to individual events. Any custom fields you have can be popped in. Information about your location. And when you are editing, as I said, the right click is going to pull up your merge fields. So if you're looking for that right click editing, like you typically would in Word documents, you either want to hold Control or Option before right clicking. That depends on the browser or the type of computer you're using. And I'm going to stop just for a moment now, see if there's any questions on anything we covered so far, anything you want me to get back to or need clarification on. All right, I don't think we have any questions at the moment. Let's go into that booking now and put some of these into action. So I'm going to go into my Sprigwell company training. And again, this has already been created, but if we were just starting to create these documents, or if we're going in to edit them, this is where the work's going to get done to select from those templates. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm on my booking tab. And again, these intros, you probably have them baked in, but you can have them blank and select them as you go, or delete and add in a different intro. So from this template dropdown, I go to my proposal intros, select that one. So you can see that we have an image in there. So those can be baked in. So when you're editing any of your templates, or here on the fly, you can always place your cursor wherever you like, and then insert an edit image file. So that'll either pull from your file library or you can upload from your computer. And you can always resize this, adjust it as you go, or have it all set up exactly how you want it. Same works for the contract intro. And as we get down to the room block terms, we already had these baked in. Now I could delete these and select a different one. Or if you're always selecting different ones because you do so many different types of bookings, you could just select from the template dropdown. And as a reminder, you've got a section for room block terms, a section for event terms. Some of you may have another section with addenduments or parts of terms that never change, and they could be baked in. But most of you probably have a room blocks term and events term section. I'm going to select from my terms and conditions folder, scroll down to my corporate room block terms, select those. And if it's already blank, you just go to your template dropdown, go to terms and conditions, add in your event terms. Now, as things happen on the fly, people ask for special requests. Maybe based on the group, you have to add in something specific to them. You can always add an additional section. This is only going to change it for this one time. It's not going to change your template on the back end. And as always, when you're within your documents, it's one of the few places that will auto save before leaving. So I can jump over to my event now. And again, this has already been detailed out for the most part. Pick list sections were selected. And then as I get to my text fields, this is where I can add in different notes. So let's see, we'll do staffing notes, maybe internal BO staff notes. And now this is set up to then go in and plug in who the different managers are, servers, bussers. If you have a crew, it's fairly always the same people, or you know that it's always going to be the same overnight cleaners or engineering, things like that. Those could be baked in. But otherwise, you can just come in and just add in who's working that event. Now for setup notes, again, that may be an area where you have some basic setup notes that are always there, or maybe you have some additional parts that you want to be able to add to that. So if you already have something baked in there, you just want to place your cursor where you want that template to drop. And we could do maybe a classroom setup. I think I have one with photos in here. I can add a floor plan in. Again, being able to resize that or edit any of that on the fly. So I'm going to go ahead and save. Now let's look at where some of those content templates dropped in. So on my contract, that contract introduction, that's populating right there. And then my terms and conditions are going to pop in the appropriate place. So booking terms load right underneath your room block. And then as we scroll down right underneath your event table, we've got some food. Not everybody has all of these on their contract, but more importantly, your terms and conditions for the event are populating down here. And if we look at your BEO, you've got all your food, all of your selections, but then that room setup where I selected for my template, I was able to pop in some additional direction, and a little graphic of the floor plan. And that could be an image, just like in our proposal, we selected an introduction that had some images in there. And that wouldn't have to be the introduction. You could have a special section down below, like here, where based on their experience, on the rooms they're getting, the areas, you can have a little blurb along with a nice photo. And that could be another template drop down to have show whether it's in proposals or contracts. All right, I haven't seen any questions come in yet. And there's not too many people on the um, presentation today. So does anyone have any questions, suggestions, thoughts about their own documents of something that they would like to be able to know how to do or how to add? All right, I'm just going to give everybody another moment. If you want to go through your site, look around, maybe there is something that you can come up with that you would like a little help on or have any questions on, or if you just want to grab a quick beverage or stretch, and we'll meet back in a minute. All right, folks, I am back, and we do have one question right now. And somebody was asking if we're able to forward a copy of the webinar to those who have registered for this. So that's being answered right now, and the answer is yes. So anybody who registered for the webinar will get sent a recording, even if they did not attend. And then you'll be able to share that recording with anybody from your organization. If I don't have any other questions right now, I'm just going to do a quick recap. So again, getting to your content templates settings, scroll to the documents and menus, content templates. Always be aware what location you're on if you have multiple locations. And then to create a new template, we plus new template, give it a name, select the locations that it applies to, and then check apply only to booking documents, and then OK on to adding templates. So after you create your folder, you'll click add a content template to this folder, or it would have brought you here after you selected OK onto adding templates. And as you add them, you'll also give an appropriate name, something that makes sense to you and your other users. And if you needed a version of these corporate event terms, maybe it applies differently to different seasons, or different years or time of the year or different quarters. You could label these summer or 2023, whatever that may be. And if you need to make another version, just copy your text, and copying from within Triple Seat back into Triple Seat will come out true without any of that background script. But remember, if you're copying from Word or another document, you want to run through a text editor first. So if I want to make a different version of these corporate event terms, name this one accordingly. I copied my terms and save. And I know that if we're booking out for next year, maybe I have different terms and conditions that are going to come into play starting next year. So I could create an additional template. About 2024. Make sure we spell that right. And then I could add in the additional sections or things that are going to be different that apply to any bookings coming up in 2024. And then to put that into use, as you go to add documents into your bookings, always just take a glance at the information about the booking as you're scrolling down, as far as the dates, who they are, what they're getting for guest rooms, if any, the type of events and where they are. And that could dictate what you're selecting or changing maybe for introductions, and then also which terms you're selecting. So if you're booking the next year out and you know that you have those terms set up differently for 2024, we would select the appropriate terms. And again, keeping those organized of what makes sense to you. It doesn't have to be set up like this. You could have a folder of internal templates, and then within there, staffing notes, internal BEO notes, or instead of how I have my terms and conditions folder with all of these in, you could have corporate terms with those listed within, or have it start out with social terms folder and have the different ones within. And again, within those terms, you can use all of these different tools in the toolbar, adding in images, and wherever you would expect or want those auto-populating merge fields to show, place your cursor, right click, and that's going to pull up your different merge field options. And if you're doing some basic editing or spell checking, remember you may have to hold down Control, right click to get your copy, paste, and those other options there. And don't forget, besides your contract, which is going to show most of what you're going to be working with out of the booking tab, on each event tab, at any point you feel like I'm typing the same thing into these text fields every time, or maybe 3 different things every time, that's a great example of how you should go and create a template, so you can just have that drop down to quickly dump it in. I'll stop again for any questions after that little recap. All right, folks, hopefully that was helpful for you. For additional webinars coming up or any of our events, you can always go up to the Help and Question tab, click Online Learning, and then Online Webinars. If you're in the area of any of these party peoples, they're a great time. It's basically an appreciation event where we have a few cocktails, have a bite to eat, talk about Triple C, what you like, what you love, maybe any questions you have, or how you feel the software could be improved. So party peoples are great. If you find one in your area or take a little trip, it's well worth the small ticket fee. And then, of course, our online webinars are going to show here with some descriptions. So keep an eye out for any of those. And even if you're not able to attend, you can register. As long as you're registered, you'll still get sent a recording of the webinar. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate everybody coming today. Keep an eye out for that recording being sent. And as always, if you have any ideas or thoughts of other webinars that we could put on for you, there's probably someone else that would appreciate it. So don't hesitate to reach out to our support team and say, hey, we want a webinar on this, that, or the other. All right, folks, have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week and weekend.